Glad to be here. Speed is a mindset for the mindset that fuels speed is an amazing feature. Let me tell you a story. The team I was brought in to talk to was completely downcast. It was like their whole attitude, their presence was being dragged across the floor and into the mud. So I had to ask them, why so low? Why the long face? And it was their executives were pushing them for more speed, more productivity, more everything. And they didn't know how. Talked to the executives, and the executives had a really good reason. They were used to be number one in the marketplace, but that was eroding quickly as the competitors were able to put out more features more quickly than they could. What was the problem? Well, we did a lot of things, and we actually got this team to be 10 times faster than they were before, which is amazing. And there's a lot of things we did, but one of the main things that we changed throughout the organization, executives down to individual people, was their mindset. So I'm going to tell you 4 things today that they changed in their mindset and how it made a big difference. Number 1 mindset is to have a relentless focus on value. Here's what I mean. One of the examples was they said, well, we have this one meeting that's really horrible. I'm like, why you started with meetings? People know how to run meetings. They said, yeah, maybe we don't because this meeting is horrible. So I did a survey of that meeting and various other ones. And I did a survey based on a -5 to +5 for value to the company and to yourself, and -5 to +5 from soul sucking to energizing. That one meeting they talked about, which was 20 people that took 2 hours per person to prepare for, 2 hours to be in the meeting, almost over 100 hours per week, was rated -5 for value, -5 for soul sucking. Even the person that was running the meeting, the person that scheduled the meeting, thought it was a horrible waste of time. What we found out is they inherited it. They never looked at it. We immediately canceled it, gained 100 hours. We looked at all their other things going on too. This mindset was become pervasive. They looked at the projects they had running. They killed some because they were lower value compared to the high value ones that were in trouble. They reassigned people to put them on there. They looked at the feature sets they were developing and focused more on the high value features. They gained so much speed. Number 2 is they learned how to tame the dragons of risk. Here's what I mean. Fear is a mind killer, but ignoring fear is a project killer. And what they have been doing is just ignoring the big risks. And all projects that have great value have great risks. It's like in the Bilbo Baggins adventure in The Hobbit, a really dangerous journey. And at the end, the gold was protected by a dragon. And that's what happens with big projects. The gold is protected by dragons. So what I coached them to do was become tamers of dragons. The dragons will be there, but what you need to do is name them. Name them by specific names, who owns that risk, what the risk is, what the impact is, and work through how to mitigate those risks and be ready for them to bite you. So example was, they had a lot of dependencies on other projects, other people delivering things to them. I asked them what the most critical one was, and they named an organization. I said, be more specific. They named a team. And I said, name the name. Who's responsible for that? And they named the name. I said, are you working with that person? They looked at me blankly. They said, oh, we get it. They started to actually have dialogues with the people that they were bringing things in from. They tamed that dragon. They mitigated it. They got people to deliver them what they needed when they needed to with high quality. You need to do that to go after these big projects. But guess what? Any big project that has great value with these risks, there's going to be failure. Mindset number 3 is to treat failure as an opportunity to go faster, create speed from failure. So what we did there was when the big disasters hit, we gathered people around and we had a little wine fest first, because failure hurts. You got to recognize it, gather the people, celebrate the pain, and transform the pain into speed. So what you need to do is focus on what the value you're trying to do, what dragons actually bit you, and then figure out what worked well, what didn't work well. And scale that to the rest of the project. One of the high-tech projects I was working on was based in California, and their problem was they did all their testing, all their writing in California in that time zone. As soon as they expanded products into other time zones, they got bit because some junior developer had hard-coded to the West Coast time zone. So they got all sorts of weird results. When they went through the failure thing, because the customers were mad, they discovered that, one, what the problem was and fixed it across the product, but they also realized that they had a very California-centric mindset and they needed to send people out to learn about the other parts of the project. So they took that failure and they actually transformed it into an event that made them think differently about their whole product base, their whole customer base, and got people out there into the world to learn what was going on in the other parts of the customers, other things, and developed a lot more ideas for value and ideas that they could kill so they could focus mostly on what would bring most value to that customer set. They got enormously more speed. So 1, relentless focus on value. 2, tame the dragons of risk. 3, create speed from failure. 4, own the game clock. A leader that's faced with situations like I talked about can react in one of a couple ways. For example, the time clock one, I've seen people react by just reacting, by doing more pressure, more overtime, more running around without purpose. There's lots of sweat, lots of action, but there's no results. Going faster doesn't mean more sweat. It means more control. If you watch the pros in basketball way back when Larry Bird played or today when LeBron plays, you're going to see them in basketball. The pros, the best, have control over the game. They look at the game at a different rate as everybody else. Same with high pressure, great leaders. They don't panic. They have control over the situation and control over themselves. They have great inner calm. They own their days. They own their weeks, they own their meetings, they own their own process for creating great value. Number 5, and the final one I'm going to do, is be the leadership force. And that's a different mindset, which is scaling up. This was mostly for the executives, but when they started to master these things, what they realized is in physics, force equals mass times acceleration. What they have learned to do is how to accelerate individual projects through these mindsets and a lot of the techniques. But to get greater leadership force, they need to create other leaders that shared those. So they worked on making programs to really ingrain that kind of mindset into everybody and how to execute it. And that way, when the leaders had so many people in the organization understand that, everybody was working at how to accelerate. And that was how they became a leadership force. 2 things. One is you can reach me at alanwillett.com or at my email, alan@oxseeker.net. On the website, by the way, you'll find some free stuff. I got a couple of free ebooks. You can get a shirt like this one. And so contact me. Happy to do so. My closing note, 2 things. I really encourage people to do good in the world and lead with wonder, fun, and joy. Those that you lead will be greatly happy to follow you. Thank you very much. I'm Alan Willett.